So guys, echoes are probably my favorite feature inside Wuthering Waves, and I just wanted to do a whole video explaining everything I know about them so far. I will update this in the future with an actual guide closer to release, because there's still some small things I'm trying to figure out, but I feel like that is the most common question I see is about the echoes. I feel like a lot of people have a base understanding that they know that the echoes, which are like these monsters, are the gearing system, but that's sort of the extent that people know, and I find myself explaining it a lot, so I wanted to just put it in a video. Now, first of all, how do you get echoes? So when we look at enemies in the world, besides humanoid enemies, pretty much everything else can be an echo. And what happens is we have what I like to refer to as the Pokedex or the data bank. Now, you will level this up as you go, and it increases your drop rates of, or your drops of the echoes. When you kill an enemy, when we look at this one here, I'm just going to hide my head for a sec because this is the only place this is bad. You can see here that we have echo drop rate. So when I kill an enemy, there's a 20% chance that it will drop an echo. Now, the enhanced absorption, I believe that's the chance of getting the highest rank possible to me, which at the moment is rank 5, which is like the top grade. I refer to them as gold echoes. And cost limit we'll look at when we look at equipping them. So that's the basics. Every enemy I kill, I essentially have a 20% chance to go ahead and them to drop an echo. So let's just go ahead, quickly kill some enemies, and I can show you the way that system actually functions so you can get an idea for the way this works. Okay, so there we go. We killed those 3 enemies. Only one of them actually left behind this shimmering image, which is the echo. And yes, this is like your gear. And as you can see, I collected it, and on the left-hand side, you could see it was a gold one. Now I can go here and I can check the echo that I actually got. I haven't found a quick way to do this, which is quite frustrating, but you can see here it says new. So then that is the echo that I've got. And yes, this is your gearing system. Now for the enemies in the overworld, you can do a really cool thing where if you want to track down a certain enemy to get it, you can look at what sets they can come in. And I can say, like, let's say I want to track down this enemy. I can go detection, and it'll show me where that enemy is, and I can go farm it. And as soon as I kill it, it'll show me the next available one to kill as well. So that's how you're going to target those pieces of gear, essentially. And that's the basics behind obtaining them. Kill enemies in the world, 20% chance for them to drop an echo, and then you're hoping that you get a good one out of it. And that is how you're going to get them. Now let's move on to the next thing, which is the actual echoes themselves. As you can see here, I've got this wolf, and this one is of the set, which is going to give me fusion damage increase, and this one is of the set for havoc damage increase. So when you get an echo, there are multiple things to consider. For instance, if we go back over here into the data bank, it's a bit backwards to try and understand it through all the different tabs that they have for it. But if we go back here into the data bank and we go to this one here, this is like my Pokedex. So you can see here that this tic tac here can be either the attack set, the healing set, or the havoc set. This one can be either of these 2 sets. So when you catch them, not only do you need to hopefully get a high rarity one, you also then need to get it on the right set. And then the next thing we'll talk about is the stats, and this is where people will feel more at home in the gearing type system. So when we go ahead and we take a look, let's just jump into Resonators for instance here, and we take a look at it. So when we look at these placements, so the top left here, you can see we have a cost of 12 of 12. Now the cost is the way they limit you from putting too many good pieces of gear on, and it's very interesting. So as you can see here, this guy's got a 4 next to him. That means he is a 4 cost unit. We then have 3 cost units and 1 cost units, and that cost gets added up. So I've got a 4, 2 3s, 2 1s, which gives me a total of 12 cost. I can also filter my echoes by 1 cost, 3 cost, and 4 cost. Now these essentially are kind of like, think of other games as like your chest piece, your rope, and your orb, essentially something like that. So when we look at these ones, the 4 cost units are normally the boss enemies in the world, and that's how you get the echoes. You kill the bosses to get the echoes, and that's going to be the 4 cost ones. Now their main stat can be, like, every piece can have the main stat of attack, defense, or HP. All percentages. Like every piece in the game can have those as the main stat. But your 4 cost units can also have crit damage, crit rate, and healing. I don't think there's any others besides that. Then when we move on to our 3 cost units, they can have any type of elemental damage and also energy regeneration. And then when we look at the 1 cost units, they can only have attack, HP, or defense percent as their main stats. Now, on top of that, you'll see each one of these guys has another flat stat just under it. This one's got attack, this one's going to have attack, and this one's going to have HP. Now, the way I understand it so far is that this is just like an innate stat that they all have, and 4 cost and 3 cost units have attack, and 1 cost units have HP. Now, as you level up the Echo, you'll see if I go to one here that's lower level, that goes up. So not only does the main stat go up when you level them, but also the other stat does too. And that brings us into the topic of substats, which I want to get into. So if we go ahead and take a look at substats, for instance, if we go over her, let's go ahead and upgrade one of her pieces. So this is a healing set. It's got HP. She wants HP, so we can go ahead and upgrade this one. And if we go upgrade, we're going to have to level it up. Now, the way this works is blue echoes can go to level 15, purple echoes can go to level 20, and then your gold echoes can go to level 25. And as you can see, strength to +5 to convene, and that's what I want to show you guys. So if I go ahead and I leveled this Echo up to level 5, now in other games you just get a substat. This game you don't, because you can endlessly farm gear. They had to put a bottleneck somewhere, and the 2 bottlenecks are the experience to level them, and also this item here that you need to use to unlock the substat. So I could level this Echo all the way up to level 25, max out its main stat, and have no substats unlocked. But you need this currency to go ahead and unlock it. So if I hit convene here, it then unlocks me a substat, which is attack flat 30. Not a great substat, but that is essentially the way it works. Now, your substats have a lot. I'll have to make a list. I haven't figured out every substat. You can get different elemental damages. You can get crit rate, crit damage. You can get energy regeneration. You can get basic attack damage, heavy attack damage. There's a lot of different substats in the game, and I'm going to have to make a whole spreadsheet on them. Now, I'm not sure if some units can only get certain substats. I'm not too sure, but that is the functionality on the way they work on how you get substats. Now, that pretty much covers the basics that people would recognize from other games and how it sort of functions in this game. It's a little bit different in that you can endlessly farm them, so it's a lot easier to find the right main stat that you want, but then it's going to become more about substats. The other thing about substats that's different in this game to other games is that other games, normally if you have the substats, you can then roll additional rolls into those substats. Unless there's a future thing that I haven't seen yet, that is not the case in this game. I have seen up to 9% crit rate rolls, so when you unlock the substat, it must have a broad range of where that substat can fall, and where it is where it stays. Now, like I said, that might change in the future, but at the moment there's no like upgrading existing substats. It's just you get 5 new substats and that's it. Now, if you take a look here at the crit damage, you can see I maxed this one out just because I was curious. My character only has 10% crit rate and I've put a crit damage on it. Just ignore me, I was just upgrading stuff. But just to see the max rolls, and I think crit rate feels a little bit low in this game that they give you, so I'm not sure exactly how all the values will work. But like I said, if you go ahead and you get a 9% crit rate on all your pieces, it's not too bad. But keeping in mind, other games do have 6 pieces of gear. This one only has 5, and you don't get those additional rolls into those substats. So I think substats are going to be a lot harder to obtain. Maybe crit isn't as easy to use in this game as it is in some other games, so we'll have to wait and see. For instance, if I look at, I think I had a crit rate one built up. I must have fed it to someone, but yeah, I think on a purple one going to level 20, which is their max, I think you get about 13 or so % crit rate. So it's nothing crazy. The values are quite low, so we do have to consider that as well. But that is the way the substats and main stats work. Now, I just wanted to bounce back into the cost thing and take a look at it, because the way the sets work, see how I've got this guy on here at the moment. If I put another crownless in one of my other slots, it will remove my 5-piece bonus, because at the moment I have this 5-piece bonus. But using 2 echoes of the same unit do not count. So I can't use 2 of him and get a 5-piece bonus. So you've got to use different echoes in those spots. For instance, if we look here and say I'm building a Havoc unit here, and I look at the 3 costs. If I put 2 wolves on, I won't get that bonus. But luckily with the 3 cost, there's the flower, there's the wolf, and there's also this guy that all have the same main stat options. So luckily there's 3 options I can go to get that. I just can't put 2 of the same echo on there and still claim the bonuses. That's the difference between it. However, there is nothing stopping you from putting just 3 different 4-cost units and only having 3 pieces of gear reaching that 12 cost. You can do that. I don't think that's going to be optimal. However, I do think there will be situations with characters like this, perhaps, where she's got a really good ult for grouping enemies. So if you're using her in the overworld, then grouping enemies is going to be fantastic with her. So if we look at her, like these 3-cost ones, I'm trying to find one while we're going. It's just hard to find them. So you can see 3 costs have energy regen. So you might end up seeing people running with the sort of idea of running 4 pieces of energy regen, because each of them are 3. And dude, it's just so hard to find, dude, with all these stats. But you guys get the idea. You might end up finding people running, dude, it replaced it. You might end up finding people running like 4 3-cost energy regenerations on something that just really wants to ult. Then you could get 2-set bonuses. For instance, if we look at this unit, for instance, you'd probably pick up the healing, because it's no, this is a wind unit. So you'd look at like the wind damage set and maybe like the energy regeneration set, getting 2 pieces of both of them to go ahead and slap on so you can do it. I'm just trying to find the energy set. So you can see this one gets energy regeneration increased by 10%. So if you had 2 3-cost energy regeneration sets with energy regeneration main stat, and then say 2 wind damage pieces with energy regeneration, you've got like a ton of energy regeneration that you have to get those valuable ults. So you can play it however you want. Maybe in some situations you might go with like just 3 costs and 2 1 costs. Like, it just depends on the situation. But as long as you're below that 12 cost, you can pretty much do whatever you want in there. But I do think the staple of what we will see most characters running, and I haven't tested this, so I'm not 100% sure, but I think the staple is going to be running a 4 cost, 2 3 cost, and 2 1 cost. What that essentially gives you the access to is one piece that's going to have crit damage, crit rate, or healing effect. And then you'll have 2 pieces that have access to elemental damage or energy regeneration. Also, obviously, attack. But you'll normally be running the elemental damage or energy regeneration. And maybe damage dealers want double elemental damage. Or maybe they want 1 elemental damage, 1 energy regeneration to be optimal. Maybe they want double energy regeneration. Don't know how exactly it will work, but when we look at set effects, you can see the set effects do give you some really good elemental damage bonuses. So maybe I'm thinking the split will be one damage bonus and 1 energy, but we'll have to wait and see how that falls. But then that leaves you with 2 1 cost units, which normally on a damage deal, you're going to slap attack on both of them as the main stat. So that is the basic way it works. Hopefully that makes some sense, and you can understand the basics around it when you're watching someone play or something like that. Like I said, this is not a guide by any means. I just wanted to get the basic understanding of it out there. And the only other thing, I don't know if I already mentioned it, that co-op, if you clear all the enemies, all the mobs in your world for the day, you can join a friend's world in co-op, and then you can clear theirs as well. So you can basically endlessly farm if you want. Also, the bosses, which are the 4-cost units, they respawn after about 10-15 minutes. So you can actually just do a cycle of killing bosses and keep farming for those boss echoes if you want to as well. So that is the ecosystem. In my opinion, one of the most fun and enjoyable systems. I do think maybe they might have to balance the numbers of the stats that they're giving you, because it does feel a little bit low, especially on those crit values and stuff like that. But that could be a bad take. I'll have to do more testing, find out all the ranges of the numbers and stuff like that, and get back to you in a guide. But that is the basic understanding. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.